I did want to point out three important dates that the community should really keep in mind. The first one is the January 1st, 2021 date, which banned the single-use carry-out bag. Then we have another date, December 31st of this year, which will ban the plastic bags that are compostable, biodegradable, or designated as a high density polyethylene bag. Uh, and then the third date is for July 1st of next year, where I think the only exception is for eating establishments or food establishments that will be able to use paper carryout bags. So the agency, you know, is charged with enforcement of this bag ban. We are going to be meeting with the board of directors at the January regularly scheduled board meeting so that we can get their concurrence on the definitions of things like biodegradability, compostability of these bags. Part of our responsibility also is, especially when we're enforcing regulations on the community, is that we preserve the due process. So we want to try to remove as much of the confusion as we can. So we are going to be looking to our board for them to guide us through this process. Because remember, if an establishment gets a notice of violation for for breaking the law on the plastic bag ban, that business does have the opportunity to appeal the notice, and that part of that process involves the board. So this is going to work well for us, so that we have a clearer guidance on how we're going to enforce this within the community, and we at the same time preserve the business's due process.
Nick, so where was the disconnect here? Was this something that was just flawed language in the bill, or was it something that you guys didn't foresee with the implementation of it? Because it does kind of seem like there's some gaps.
You know, we took a look at the intent of the law, right? And so the agency saw that the author of the law wanted to limit the amount of plastic in the landfill, and saw that an avenue would be a point source with retail and wholesale establishments when you purchase items. So that was one thing. And then somewhere along the discussion, it turned into, well, there are other bags that will be allowed in the law, but would take much more time to biodegrade in the landfill. So, we went back with the author. We even talked about partnering with, for example, customs, right? Similar to our NOA process with pesticides, where it has to have some type of registration.
Right.
We wanted to make sure that we were able to stop the importation of these bags, at our border. Somewhere along the line that didn't make it into the law, but we did provide our concerns and our recommendations on how the law should be carried out.
What are the penalties for violating this law?
They range anywhere from $500 to $1,000. I'm sorry, up to 10,000, depending on your frequency for violating it.
But Nick, as it stands now, could you clarify if businesses had existing stock of plastic bags, are they allowed to finish that stock out?
According to the law, they're not able to if that bag does not meet the HDPE or the biodegradable or the compostable component that's spelled out in the law. So if it doesn't meet those requirements, as of the new year, they're not able to use those for distribution at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if we see businesses using plastic bags, what's the protocol?
Well, we'd first have to, this is where the challenge comes in. We'd have to identify that the business establishment is using the correct plastic bag where it meets that biodegradable or compostable quality that's spelled out in the law. Again, we're looking for to our board to set clearer definitions. I mean, you know, worst case is you talk to your local or your off-island vendor and say, hey, I need to have something printed on these bags. There's nothing preventing that manufacturer, or there's very little preventing that manufacturer from printing something on that bag that would make it pass as something that could be used under the law. So there's a lot of things that the solid waste program management manager and the board have to iron out so that, you know, we're able to properly enforce the restrictions on the plastic bags.
So as it stands right now, if I go into a place and they, you know, bag the food up or whatever it is, and I call Guam EPA to report it, there's no way you guys can enforce it right now.
We will respond to it. Now, I do want to point out that we are going to enforce this. So if we do receive a complaint from the community, the solid waste program will investigate. You know, they'll identify themselves as to what they're doing at the establishment. They'll remind the store owner of the law, and then they'll take a look at the type of bags that are being offered to consumers at the point of sale. If a clear determination can be made that the retail owner is not complying with the law, then enforcement action and compliance would ensue. Absolutely.
What are the exemptions, Nick? Are there any exemptions to the law?
Again, the retail establishment has to demonstrate that the bag that's being offered to the consumer is biodegradable, compostable, or HDPE number 2 in nature. And that those bags are only going to be allowed until the end of this year. So that's something that I know a lot of businesses are concerned about, but there are a group of businesses who have recognized what the limitations are in terms of what type of bag that they're able to distribute. I also want to point out that this is for carry-out bags. So if you're going to go and bag your trash, you're able to use your plastic trash bag. If you're going to be buying produce and you see those bags on the rolls, you know at your local supermarket, you're able to use those. This law is focusing on carry-out bags.
So does that include you know, when you get food to go?
Food to go. Okay, so so businesses that sell prepackaged food will have something a little bit different. But they'll at some point they'll only be able to use a paper bag.
Well, let's say you know, Sabrina treats us to lunch and we get it from, you know, Grab and Go or Uno Go or any one of these Go services, and they bring the food in the plastic bag. Are we like breaking the law? Because I want to be able to sleep at night.
You know, that's something that we would definitely pose to the board because the food delivery service is not the one that's selling you the food. You know, they're a delivery service. So in some respects, if they are a business establishment, it's probably wise of them not to be using bags that don't comply with the law. That's probably the best practice that those types of establishments could be doing in their business operation.
Right on.
But and you're not the one that's going to get in trouble for possession of an illegal bag, Chris.
So if I get pulled over,
put that out there.
because the only bags I have are legal.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure, when we get pulled over, hey, hide those plastic bags.
Yeah, no, it's not going to operate like that at all. It would be the business establishment who provided you the bag.
Right.
So if you have these non-compliant plastic bags at home, there's not going to be any penalty for you just because you're possessing a non-compliant bag.
Yeah, because if you open the cabinet under the kitchen, that's all you're going to find. I have like a ton of these bags, but I use them to put stuff in So, I mean, I guess my plastic bags are my reusable bags. But, at the end of the day, Nick, right, so obviously we know the intent. I don't think anyone's disagreeing with the idea that we need to, use less plastic, get, fewer things into the landfill. But again, it's just an example of, government agency A doesn't know what government agency B is, and then we pass these laws and it comes down to enforcement, and it ends up there's so many things to work out. So at the end of the day, let's just do our part as a community to go around with your reusable bag. Keep it in the car, because I'm so guilty of this. I go somewhere and I don't have my reusable bags. They're in the cabinet. The other day I went to Payless and I had to use my backpack.
Right. Hey, Chris, you do bring up another point that you just reminded me about something. So even the reusable bag, there are requirements for that. It's got to be made out of cloth or some type of plant-based fiber that is sewn together, that is machine washable, because they do have reusable carry-out bags that are made of plastic that are probably not going to be compliant with the law. So if you are going to be using your reusable carry-out bag, make sure it meets those definitions as well.
Or else they're going to stop you. They're going to stop you on your way out of the grocery store, and they're going to take all your groceries and flip it up your bag.
Oh, no. I'm talking about... No. The retail establishment is the one that's going to be responsible for providing those types of bags.
Right.
Yeah. Again, we're not going to bust you for possession of an illegal bag.
I hope not. I mean, you guys are barely busting people for illegal dumping. You guys going to put a priority on that?
Ooh, get wrecked.
That's always going to be a challenge, Sabrina. I'll be honest with you. That's always going to be a challenge.
Well, what type of response are you guys doing for illegal dumping? I mean, now I know we're in a pandemic. Everyone kind of, checked out for COVID or whatever, but is there any enforcement going on from Guam EPA with illegal dumping? Because we haven't been able to go out there and see.
You could just drive down the road.
Right. We have received some complaints from mayors, especially when we were in a shutdown, that there was concerns over increased illegal dumping, since there's very little people on the road. So it seemed like it was probably something that was going to be easier to do. At this point, we are going to be working with the Mayor's Council, with their island-wide environmental cleanup plan. The MOA was signed. We will be releasing that information sometime today. But in terms of enforcement action, it's really difficult to get this done, only because short of being there to physically catch somebody, it's gonna present those challenges. So the idea behind solving the illegal dumping has to be systemic. There has to be an easier means for folks on island to dispose of their waste. That's one. I know that leadership has been talking about mandatory trash service, and that's something that the agency's always advocated. So those things are going to go hand in hand, and hopefully we see an end or a severe decrease in illegal dumping activity.
Yeah, it does seem like enforcing this plastic bag ban is very cosmetic when we're looking at, bigger issues like Sabrina said. Yeah. All right, Nick.
Go ahead, Chris.
You good, Bree?
Anything new with the removal of the tire reef down south?
No, we're still working with the contractor who was awarded. So as soon as that's finalized and there's a motion on that, my offer stands with you. any site assessments out over there, we'll make sure that you get the invite down to Maurizo.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Right on.
Okay.
Stay safe.
9 o'clock or KUAM FM, Agotni, Guam. It's a link on the breeze. We're going to take a quick break, and we're coming back with Crystal Pacos and Augustine, the communications director for Adaloop. You're right, though, Bree. It's this illegal dumping. I mean, God, if I could count how many stories we've done, how many times I've heard Nick Lee say that we're going to work with the